Right. In order to add seam allowance to your basic pattern here for the shirt that we have done some pattern modifications to, we've shortened the sleeve, and this was the original center front, which we remarked with a dashed line and put an extension on here as well. So I want to show you how we will put a seam allowance around here. Now, with seam allowance going around the outer edge of the perimeter of these, I find that this would overlap onto the back. I do not want that to happen, so I need to move my sleeve over a little bit. So I click on my sleeve, or I'm sorry, move command. I will left click on the sleeve. It's grouped together, so everything is all together. It is selected. That is what I want to move. I need to right click to tell the computer I'm done selecting. Now I select a point with a single left click of the mouse to start the base of my move, and then I can move over to the side here. I'm going to just go straight over, enough space that there will be space around the sleeve and center back to be able to have seam allowance in those spots. Now then, over here, the dart, it will go ahead and create seam allowance inside that dart. We're going to leave it as is for that. And on this one that I opened up, it looks like my sleeve or my extension here is a little longer than I want it to be, but I can always check that distance. Let me check my center front. Done selecting my first point. Here's to my second point. Done selecting. That's what I want to measure. It's about 1 inch. I actually want to bring that back down to about a ½ inch. So we are going to select Move Vertex. And we're going to select 2 of them. 1, 2. And I actually want to move ortho, meaning move straight over. Done selecting. Now I select once for a base and bringing it in. And I didn't even look to see where it was at beginning. About here, this looks about right for, remember your distance between the little dot grids are 1 inch wide, so this is about half that distance between the dots. And ortho keeps it directly vertical or horizontal, whichever direction I want it to go. Now I can turn that off by going right here on my keyboard hotkeys, Control F1 together. All right, so now I have that selected. To it, I'm going to start with the back sloper to put my seam allowance on. Now we come over here to Edit, or I'm sorry, Draw. And you can actually use either one, offset or seam allowance. They both really do the same thing, but I'm going to go ahead and do seam allowance. And it's going to want me to select my first point. And I'm going to select up here at the neck. There's my first point selected. Read your blue column or blue bar at the bottom of the program to see what you do next. First point selected. I'm going to right click. That's done selected. I am going to select the bottom point here. Done selecting. Now it's going to ask me if this is the correct segment I want to put the seam allowance on. Now I want the center back to be on the fold, so I'm going to say no. The program always defaults to go in clockwise direction. So I say no. Now I'm going to say I want the opposite direction, that counterclockwise. It automatically asks if that's the direction I want to go. I say yes. And then I get to put the distance of my seam allowance. I believe the instruction said to put a ½ inch seam allowance. We will go ahead and do this, and I'm going to go ahead and have it do it from point to point. You can do segment areas where some seam allowances may be larger or smaller than others. And I want to do a done closed. Let's see what that does. Oh, it didn't do it because I had an opening. So let's try that again. First point selected, second point selected, done selecting. No, that's not the segment. Yes, that is. So now we're going to do done open. If you notice, center back is left without seam allowance. It will be going on the fold. Done open. Let's hit OK. Now I do have it there. We are going to need to zoom in on this area, move this vertex over. So let's move this vertex here. Left click on it. I'm done selecting. Now I am going to, I shouldn't have had my cursor right in front of it, but that looks pretty good there. I'm okay with that. And I want to draw a line, and I'm going to snap to, not midpoint, snap to grid, snap to end point. Now I can select that over here once I'm in my drawing tool. I can change it over here, or if you remember your hotkeys, you can do that. So I'm going to select that point down to that one. Alright, so there's my new line. I'm going to move my vertex in, that one. And it's asking me which one, the one that I just created, the topmost one, or the one that was there before. I'm just going to cancel that. We'll keep that. It's just slightly off. We'd be able to see that. Now, I'm using my keyboard arrows to pan down. All right, this is a straight line over, so I'm going to go to ortho, meaning it'll keep me constrained, moving left on a vertical or horizontal position. Points. Oh, I'm still in my move vertex. Okay, good. That's what I want. I want that vertex. Done selecting. And I want to move it over to line up there. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to just go ahead and put a line here. I'm still in ortho, so it was jumping there. Let's undo that one. What I needed to do is snap to an end point as I drew my line. That one to that one. And I'm a little bit off. That's okay on there. Push end. Takes you all the way back out. And it's pretty straight. It's going to work for this time. I believe then that you get the idea. Let's put the seam allowance on the sleeve. Okay, so draw seam allowance. I'm going to go from here to here. First, left click, select your point, right click, first point selected. I'm going to select a second one, done selecting. Is this selection correct? Yes. Right now, we're not going to change it to open or closed. Okay, we're just going to get going on that. A half-inch seam allowance, 0.50. Click OK, so it puts it there. Now it's select point to offset to. Here's another one. Another. Done selecting up to there. 0.5. OK. And then it wants another one. We'll put it up to there. I think that's the one we want. See how it's on the curved? There's no name to them, but they are overlapping each other. That's why in the stacking order you gotta see which one you want. Click OK. Done selecting. That's my segment. Sounds good. My next one. Done selecting. 50% there. And back to here. Done selecting. Done. Close. We're going to close it all up. Oh, there we go. Okay. We can repeat the same process here with the front. Add seam allowance. Let's try and move past several of them. Oops. First point selected. Let's go to here. Done selecting. That's the segment we're going to add to. Yes. All right, we're going to pick it up from here. I guess going to here, done selecting, okay. And we'll just kind of keep moving. I don't have to do all the points along there. All right. I'm wondering now if I can come up to that point, done selecting, and we can go done closed. And it finishes it all out. There we go. We got seam allowance around all of our pattern pieces. This is where you can go ahead and finish this one out, save it as a shirt pattern. You can put shirt pattern with seam allowance or save as it is on this one. This is, I called mine my demo shirt. Um, cancel command, because I was still in that one command because it was green. Now it's purple. I'm done with that command. Now I can go and save. And if you haven't experienced it, I've noticed this program being a demo does crash a couple times when you ask it to do something. So I suggest you save as you go quite often. That way you don't lose too much work. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this to upload for the add seam allowance assignment.